Toyota's HiLux and Ford's Ranger aren't just Australia's two best-selling utes, they're Australia's two best-selling nameplates, period. And here we've assembled the battle royale of 4x4 dual cabs. Toyota's veteran campaigner, the HiLux SR5, versus Ford's next-gen Ranger XLT. We're putting them to the test, both on-road and off, to see which best deserves your hard-earned bucks. Let's get into it. The HiLux SR5 and Ranger XLT are two of the most popular trim grades within the 4x4 ute category, in what in 2021 was Australia's most popular single vehicle segment. But while the Toyota is an 8th generation machine that dates to 2015, its last update in 2020, the Ford is the new generation Ranger, with fresh engineering and styling, extra refinement and a significant lift in tech. Here we've chosen the Ranger XLT with Ford's carryover 2-litre Bi-Turbo diesel engine, not the new 3-litre V6, because we think this will be the volume seller at XLT level, which, like the SR5, will be a favoured option for family buyers on a budget. It also levels the pricing in this comparison, with both trucks just north of 60k plus on roads in standard trim, or a little more with some options and accessories as tested. Ford's carryover 4-cylinder diesel saves $3,000 over the new Lion V6, but it's lost 3 kilowatts through emissions tweaks and is down 30 kilowatts and 100 Newton meters over that new flagship engine. Despite this, it still produces some very handy figures. The HiLux, meanwhile, soldiers on with its 2.8 litre 4, with slightly less claimed power but identical claimed torque. The Ranger XLT has Ford's 10-speed automatic, the sole option at this trim grade, while the Toyota makes do with a 6-speed auto. Both come with a part-time 4x4 system with dual range transfer case and a choice of drive modes. Here in the Ranger, it's plainly evident you're in a next-gen pickup. I love the huge 10.1-inch touchscreen. There's an electric park brake that really tidies up the center console, and in general, its utilitarian roots have been nicely softened, and that's going to keep family buyers in particular smiling. It's really pretty classy for a ute, and the fit and finish is of a high standard. You get premium cloth seating with manual adjustment, a steering wheel adjustable for tilt and reach, dual zone climate control, and a comfy and supportive driver's seat, but no seat heating. Cab storage isn't huge, which is typical of the class, but the Ranger does get a larger center console bin with 12-volt outlet, plus a smaller locking glove box. The dash top tray is gone and the door pockets are compact, although the front ones do feature a couple of bottle holders apiece. On the tech front, the Ranger's monster 10.1-inch touchscreen looks great and works well. It integrates with Ford's Sync 4A system with voice commands, and it's easy and intuitive to navigate. There's wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, although no inductive charging pad, so you'll need a cable anyway. But the Ford does come with an embedded modem. Together with the Ford Pass Connect app, this allows you to perform a range of functions remotely via your smartphone, like starting the car up to set the climate control or checking the vehicle's fuel level. There's a USB-A and USB-C socket at the bottom of the center stack, but a typical smartphone won't readily sit flat in its tray with a cable attached. And while the 8-inch digital instrument cluster is easy to read and offers some customization, the small bar-style tacho is difficult to read with any accuracy. In addition to the standard front and rear parking sensors, our test vehicle came fitted with an optional touring pack with an excellent 360-degree camera. The display is super crisp and clear. There are a range of camera views on offer, and it comes with predictive guides. In contrast, the HiLux SR5 cab does feel more utilitarian. There's less soft touch trim to counter all the plastic, and the dash is now starting to show its age. Our test vehicle has Toyota's optional premium interior, with leather accented seating and trim, front seat heating and electric driver's seat adjustment. And like the Ford, the steering wheel is adjustable for tilt and reach. The HiLux similarly struggles for in-cab storage, but it does get a twin-deck glove box and the centre console bin, while smaller, is air-conditioned and has a 220-volt outlet. But despite an infotainment upgrade in 2020, the HiLux SR5 easily plays second fiddle for tech, even if what it's got is all easy enough to use. The smaller 8-inch multimedia screen complements traditional analogue clocks with a fairly busy 4.2-inch central digital display. There's wired Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, and all the tech is easy enough to use, but it just doesn't have the same level of features and depth as the Ranger. The HiLux SR5 comes standard with a reversing camera, but the display isn't as crisp and it only comes with fixed guides. The Toyota also comes with front and rear parking sensors, but once you're used to the Ford's 360-degree camera, it's hard to go back. While both trucks cover most bases on the tech front, the Ford tops the Toyota with more sophisticated features, as you'd expect of a new generation vehicle. That theme also flows through to safety technology. The Ranger XLT now has 9 airbags versus 7 for the HiLux, while the Ford also benefits from blind spot monitoring with rear cross traffic alert and trailer coverage, AEB with pedestrian and cyclist detection plus intersection assist, lane keeping with road edge detection, and tyre pressure monitoring. The Ranger also now has larger front brake rotors and 4-wheel disc brakes. The HiLux still has rear drums. For family buyers with safety in mind, the new Ranger is now well ahead. Second row space is reasonable here in the Ford. The seat back is fairly upright and you don't get massive amount of head or leg room, but you do get venting on the back of the centre console and a 12-volt power outlet. But kids up to older teens should be comfy enough, and for the littlies, there are 2 top tethers and 2 Isofix anchor points. A one-piece seat base flips up for extra storage, and there are a couple of underseat storage pockets too. In the Toyota, meanwhile, it is a little bit more cramped here in the back than in the Ford. I've got a bit less leg room and a little bit less headroom. It's a 60-40 split seat arrangement in Toyota's second row, and while there are cup holders built into the fold-down centre armrest and rear venting, there are no charge points of any kind. But there are outboard Isofix fittings and a top tether system for capsules and or child seats. Back here, the Ford Ranger will now accept a standard Australian or Euro pallet. In contrast, the Toyota is still a little bit too narrow between its wheel arches. The Ranger gets a handy new step for access, and the tailgate is easier to open and close, coming with lift assistance. Ranger also comes with central locking for the tailgate, unlike the Toyota. The Ford's tub also scores handy LED lighting, 6 tie-down anchor points and a 12-volt socket. Our test vehicle sports an optional spray-in bed liner with handy tailgate ruler, instead of the standard drop-in bed liner. In contrast, the Toyota gets a bare steel tub, only 4 tie-down anchor points and no 12-volt outlet. But like the Ford, the sports bar is standard. But that's enough of the specs and gadgets. Let's get out there and see how they drive. The Ranger feels secure and purposeful on the road. Its fresh but tough and robust stance, softened only by the impressive air of refinement here inside the cab. The familiar pairing of Ford's 2-litre Bi-Turbo diesel and a 10-speed auto is both pragmatic and effective. And I have to say I prefer the traditional shifter in this Ranger compared to the stubby E-shifter now found in the new V6 models. The twin-turbo is spirited and the auto shifts with nice speed and precision. And in the Ranger XLT you get a choice of 4 drive modes: normal, eco, towing and slippery. But the Ranger's on-road dynamics are particularly impressive, despite carrying an extra 160 odd kilos over the HiLux. Unladen, there's a little bit of jiggling over road imperfections, but nothing excessive. A lot of the harshness has been dialed out and it remains composed and stable through roundabouts and sharper bends. The upgraded brakes too are on the money, delivering strong stopping power with good modulation and feel at the pedal. But it's the overall refinement of this new Ranger that is the true standout for me. Despite being the budget-minded family buyer's pick, this new Ranger XLT still has plenty of creature comforts, while noise, vibration and harshness are all dialed down nicely. Vision is good thanks to larger side mirrors and smart electronics, including the new blind spot system with tailored coverage for trailers. In comparison, the Toyota feels, well, it feels exactly like the HiLux we've come to know over years. It stops, goes and handles perfectly well, just without the same level of refinement that's now found in the new Ford Ranger. Toyota's 2.8 litre 4 has plenty of punch but feels less responsive than the Ford's Bi-Turbo. Meanwhile, the 6-speed auto works fine in isolation but is unrefined compared to the Ranger's 10-speed tranny. And the Toyota gets by with basic normal, eco or power drive modes. The chassis and suspension simply get on the job, but the ride when unladen is noticeably harsher than the Ranger over road imperfections. There's only so much comfort you can build into a leaf spring rear suspension setup, but without any weight, the Ranger is definitely the nicer drive. The steering is a little heavier in the Toyota too, and while it takes 3 1/4 turns of the wheel to go from lock to lock in either truck, the Ranger has the slightly better turning circle by roughly half a metre. But the biggest difference is here in the cab, where the HiLux is noisier, has a little bit more vibration, and generally feels closer to its utilitarian roots, with more plastic and fewer mod cons. We haven't tackled a major load, nor have we towed in this review, but we'll address both in our upcoming Best Ute Mega Test. But we do want to get a feel for this pair's off-road talents, so let's hit the bush. Unlike the new full-time 4x4 driveline found in the new V6 Ranger models, this 2-litre Bi-Turbo XLT carries on with the old part-time system, but that in itself is no burden. While missing the sheer grunt and silky smoothness of the new V6, Ford's 2-litre Bi-Turbo still has plenty of urge for off-road work, and low-speed obstacles are overcome with healthy, low-rev torque and a fine level of feel at the pedal. With its larger track and wheelbase, this new Ranger feels wonderfully sure-footed in the bush, and that goes for slow technical terrain or at a faster pace over corrugations like we are here. I tell you what, the benefits of that Aussie testing and development program are plainly evident. There's a compliance to the Ranger's ride, a plushness, but the suspension travel is nicely controlled with it. The strengthened chassis and various engineering updates have paid dividends, making an already good ute better, while the light but predictable steering makes for an easy drive in any terrain. While the Ranger XLT misses out on some of the off-road specific features found in the Ranger Sport, Wildtrak and Raptor, it generally covers all the essentials. I really like the forward camera mode when you're in low range with predictive tyre track guides, and generally speaking, this is a really solid proposition for off-road exploration. Switching between the 2-wheel drive and 4-wheel drive modes is easy, and the rear diff lock engages quickly. Underbody protection is reasonable, on a par with the Toyota we'd say, and we haven't had any issues with ground clearance either. Both vehicles have healthy axle articulation, while the Ranger also has a class-leading wading depth of 800mm. That's 100mm more than the Toyota. The HiLux has always been a rugged and reliable beast off-road, and it's that blend of capability and durability that keeps fans and fleets alike coming back for more. The Toyota's slightly more relaxed, under-stressed nature will continue to hold significant appeal for off-roaders, even if this 4-pot boiler lacks some of the spirit of Ford's zesty Bi-Turbo. That said, off-road, it's hard to find fault with this HiLux. There's an enduring no-nonsense quality to this truck, it just simply gets on with it. The suspension is noticeably firmer, and you definitely feel the bigger hits more than in the Ranger, while the Toyota's steering requires more effort at the wheel and isn't quite as immune to unwanted feedback. The HiLux too has a part-time 4x4 system, hill descent control and a locking rear diff. Overall, the HiLux SR5 is a solid, if not exactly inspirational package off-road. But this is a thoroughly proven vehicle, unlike the new gen Ranger, and for some that will be enough. The Ford undercuts the Toyota for claimed fuel economy, but over a week in the real world and a mix of on and off-road driving, we found the Toyota to be slightly more frugal, with both vehicles returning around 10 to 11 litres per 100 kilometres. Both also get a 5-year unlimited kilometre warranty, but the Ford service intervals are 12 months instead of the Toyota's 6. Ford currently only caps its servicing costs for 4 years, but even it all out and you'll pay a little more to keep the Ford in fine fettle over those first 4 years. For family-minded buyers who don't want to spend a mozza, both these trucks are solid propositions that won't disappoint for both work or play. Which would we choose? The HiLux is Australia's top-selling nameplate for good reason. It's a capable truck and a known quantity that does everything well. But this new Ford Ranger brings extra refinement and sophistication to what was an already very sorted package, not to mention a heap of new technology and safety features. While an update, though not a generational change, is looming for Toyota's HiLux, right now and at these two trim grades, the new Ford Ranger XLT does represent the better buy when it comes to these two giants of the 4x4 dual cab landscape.